there with Coach Loxley, but obviously he's been in big games before, being the offensive coordinator at Alabama, and we're going to have our hands filled with that as well. So if we're lucky enough to get through those 2 games, then we'll get to our 3rd game, which will be our season opener in the ACC Atlantic. They all count as one, whether you win or lose, and therefore every one of those games are a big game to us, regardless of who we're playing.
Keep the attention there. Now 2nd row.
Tom Shanahan from the Shanahan Report. Dino, could you follow up on my question about the trash cans and how you measure the progress with your players' conditioning? And then also, the other thing I remember about your first year here, there were 4 new head coaches, but you were the only one in the Atlantic. Can you just talk about the progress your program has made while you've been there?
First of all, the trash cans, there were a lot in the beginning, and they're not a lot in the end. I mean, we don't see I can't remember the last time I saw, freshmen don't count. You know, freshmen throwing up, that doesn't count. But I can't remember the last time I've seen an upperclassman do something like that in practice. So the young men are in a lot much better shape, and they're really embracing the conditioning program, which is really helping them, because the first time they never had an opportunity to do that. You're going to have to help me with the second part of the question again. The ACC Atlantic is no joke. It is an unbelievable division. I was speaking to someone earlier, and they're like, well, how do you compare? Everybody in the ACC Atlantic from the bottom up has gotten better. And then when you play, I can't stand when I pop my P's. It really teased me off, so I apologize for that. When you play Clemson and people like that, Florida State with Jameson Winston, Louisville when they had Lamar Jackson, when you're playing teams that have those type of athletes, you know, you're playing some of the better football teams in the country. So when you go outside the conference and you start playing other teams, I mean, what is there to be fearful of? If you're in the ACC and you're in the ACC Atlantic, your big brother is as big as anybody on the street. Okay, if you can handle him, you're going to be able to have an opportunity with anybody else.
Still in this ballpark, 1st row.
Coach Steve Reed from the Associated Press. I know you don't want to talk about Clemson, but I'm going to ask you about Clemson. You guys have been able to compete with them, unlike most teams in the country. I mean, I think they're 34-2 in the ACC over the last 36 games, and they've won by an average of 20 points. You guys have beat them. You guys played them tough last year, almost had them again. Why has Syracuse been able to compete with Clemson and be right there?
You know, I think back to I just think back that our young men compete very well. We were fortunate enough to have the opportunity to win a game 2 years ago, and then when you win a game, you always feel like you've got the belief that you can win another. You've seen the mountaintop. Okay, you've seen what it looks like. You know how difficult it is. So I think that gives us a little bit of an edge that we know we can, but that doesn't mean you will. I mean, the last time that those young men at Clemson lost, the year was 2017. And it's 2019 now. They're very good at what they do, and they have fantastic personnel, and they're always getting better.
Coach, I think we're going back to Dan in the 1st row to your right.
Coach, we've seen the fan base respond to last season's efforts and the success of this team by showing you, by the thousands, the season tickets that they bought. Just what you can say about how this fan base has responded, how the community is responding, and as you step into this next year, what you've taken away from the first few seasons.
You know, we told them that we wanted to give them something that they deserve. We wanted to put something on the football field that they could be proud of. That's the stuff that we talked about when we first arrived, and we asked them to have faith, belief without evidence, that we could put something on the football field that would be worthy of not only their time, but of their dollars and cents. And they waited, and they've seen, and now they believe. And faith is one thing, but having belief is something else. And I think they have a strong belief that with their backing, when we're in the dome, that we have an opportunity to play with anyone when they're behind us. And I know that our football team and our football family absolutely feels that way, that if you're coming into our place, that, I don't know, I guess it's like that movie Dumb and Dumber, right? If you're coming to play us at home, we just really think like we have a chance.
Coach, we'll pivot back left to the 3rd row, back to Bob.
Bob Holliday, WRL.com. There were an eye-popping 18 punts returned for touchdowns last year. Syracuse got 2 of those. as much difficulty as your offense poses for for opposing defenses, how important is it to add yet another weapon with the special teams?
Let me ask, I'm going to answer your question in a different way. I really think the strength of our football team is our defense this year. I think that we have an outstanding defense. And not only do I believe they're outstanding, they need to play that way. I think the second strength of our football team is our special teams. Our field goal kicker is a Lugosa award winner as a freshman. Our punter is an NFL punter. Write it down. He will kick in the National Football League. That's how good he is. And I think our special teams coordinator, Justin Lustig, does a fantastic job. So when you have good defense and you have good special teams, good things should happen. They really should. And we have high expectations, but we got to go out there and we got to prove ourselves. We don't want to be a team that's occasional. Last year was a fantastic season. We hadn't won 10 games since 2001. But we want to be consistently good, not occasionally great. So we get an opportunity to go out there to show that we could be consistent. It doesn't mean it's going to happen. It just means we have an opportunity.
Stay to the left, first row here in the blue shirt.
Hey, Coach. Rick Saratella, NFL Draft Bible here. Your safety, Andrew Cisco, a lot has been made about his work ethic. I was wondering if you could just speak specifically about his skill set, what makes him so unique and a great player, and what you're expecting from this season.
You know, I think you've got to touch them both together. You know, when Kendall Coleman came in, we said we'll never see another freshman like Kendall Coleman, and I don't think we have. The closest thing that we've seen is Andre Cisco. Andre Cisco came in January, went through spring, beat out one safety, beat out the other safety during 2 days, and lined up and played as a freshman. And then he played so extremely well, he got named on some All-American teams. That doesn't happen with young men, especially young men in the millennial era. That doesn't normally happen. They're not average. They're not the same. They're unique in what they do. His skill set is exceptional. The thing that's different, I want to talk about what's different about Cisco. What's different is he's changed his body. He went down to Walmart, he got him some buys, and he's got him some tries, and he's got some pecs now. He must have got the pecs off the shelf around there, aisle 5. And now he's got an upper body that is no joke. And I want to see if he can now physically do some of the things from a skill set that we saw him do from an athletic ability as far as getting exceptions and doing other things on the back end. That is the thing that excites me the most about Cisco this year, and along with a lot of our players that have changed their body physically to be able to survive in the ACC and especially the ACC Atlantic.
Coach, let's stay on the left side in the very back in the camera pit.
Coach back here, hi. Dave Walls from WSET in Lynchburg, Virginia. I'm not asking you about Clemson. I'm going to talk about your season opener. You already touched about it earlier against Liberty, a team that already had some success in their first year at FBS last year, adding some new recruits, and of course Hugh Freeze coming aboard to coach. What intrigues you about this matchup against Liberty? And talk about going against Coach Freeze in his debut in Liberty.
I don't know about the word intrigue. I mean, we have to make sure we cross our T's and dot our I's. This is a very, very dangerous game coming out of camp, especially when you don't have the amount of homework that you can have on your opponent with that type of personnel. As they move down the road 5 and 6 games in, the teams that they play are going to have a heck of a greater advantage than what we have coming out of the gate. I took a team like this when I was at Eastern Illinois. I had a team like this, and we went out there and played a very fine San Diego State team at their place in the opener. We were 21-point underdogs to the San Diego State team that won the conference that year, and we beat them by 21 points because they did not have great tape on us, and they didn't know the young men that we were having transferring back into our program because we were at the FCS level. So this is a very, very dangerous game. I'm not comfortable speaking about it at all, and I think we're going to have our hands full.
Coach, back to your right with Dan in the front row.
Coach, we've seen obviously the passion that you've had in a lot of these post-game locker room opportunities. Speak on the balance of fun as well as discipline, because this team respects you, and at the same time you allow them to have some fun, and there's that inspiration that we can sense from you inside that locker room as well as on the field. Just what you can say about that balance.
You know, I think football should be fun. I think that, you know, football is all about winning. Oh, yeah, it's all about winning. But for us, it's about winning the right way. And we want to win the right way, and then we want to have fun. We want to lead the league in picnics and barbecues and softball games. We want to win the league on that. We want to lead the league. Now, all that being said, I'm a military kid. My dad was in the military. I was raised military. He's passed away, and he's buried in the National Cemetery in Houston. There's a lot of military in me. And if we're having fun and we're not doing things exactly right, then that military will come out in me. I think the young men know that, okay? I haven't been a head coach very long, and I want to say I've conditioned my football team 3 times. 3 times after practice, we've conditioned 3 different teams, all for the same offense. It had nothing to do with what they were doing on the football field. It had something to do with what they were doing off the football field. But if you have faith, belief without evidence that these things will lead to winning, I think that they will buy in. The one thing that I try to do is always tell them the truth. I think that sometimes men, especially men to men, don't tell each other the truth enough. And we will be deadly honest with each other in trying to get the right results for our family.
Coach, I'm curious, from the podium, we celebrate the 50th year of the moon landing this Saturday, the day after your 8th birthday, man landed on the moon. That means you've got a birthday this Friday. Happy birthday. What memory do you have? What impact of that moment in our history did that have on you?
Sitting in the living room, not sitting in the living room, standing in the living room, black and white TV, 3 channels, channels 6, 8, and 10, 4 channels, 6, 8, 10, and a UHF channel that's kind of like 39, that if one of the kids would hold the rabbit ears, it would come in, because I believe Speed Racer and Space Ghost was on that channel, so that was really important. But watching that first walk on the moon as a young man, and then hearing my mom and my dad talk about what this was going to be, and of course you had the whole Rocky IV, USSR, USA thing going on with that battle with Sputnik, if my history is correct, that it was a big thing. It was a big thing for our country. And I'm not going to get political up here, but it was amazing how uniting that was for our country at that time, and it'll be really great and fantastic to get back to some of those times when all of us are so united once again on a common topic.
Syracuse, good luck this year.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Folks, a reminder to the media that voting for the ACC preseason order of